Greetings, math fans. All right, so I am doing a video on worksheet 1, and basically just to kind of, hopefully you've done this already, and maybe you're checking your work, whatever you need to do. But this is a big chunk of the final exam. Okay, this is like nearly half of the final exam is just on factoring and solving. All right, so if you know what you're doing with this, you're kind of good to go. All right, so first part, let's just kind of get started here. We're going to worksheet 1, chapter 8. All right, they say to find the greatest common factor. All right, so remember you're looking for the biggest number that goes to the 12, 21, and 15. Can you use your calculator to start dividing it out? I can tell you 2 doesn't go into it because 2 doesn't go into 21 because 21 is not an even number. So I'm going to work my way up, and I have 3. And 3 actually turns out to be my greatest common factor. So I'm going to divide this by, let me move this down again, divide this by 3. So I want you to write underneath each one of these a 3. Okay? And that's the biggest number because maybe if you go to 6, can't do any even number because it doesn't go into 21 or 15. So 5 certainly doesn't go into it, and 6 doesn't go into 21 or 15. Okay, so 3 is my greatest common factor for the number. And then I go to the variable, and the variable I have x to the 7th, x to the 4th, and x to the 5th. So I always pick the smallest of the exponents, so it's x to the 4th, x to the 4th, x to the 4th here, and then the y. So I have y to the 6th, y to the 2nd, y to the 4th, which, there it is, y to the 2nd. That's my smallest, so that's y second. Okay, so what you need to do is put 3x to the 4th, y to the 2nd, that's on the outside, and you're going to have 3 terms on the inside. If you got 3 terms to start with, you got 3 terms on the inside. So 12 divided by 3, again, I don't care, use your calculator. Remember, you're going to subtract then the exponents. So 7 minus 4 is x to the 3rd. 6 minus 2 is y to the 4th. Okay, the next one is minus 7. You notice that the x's cancel, so you don't write an x there, don't write x to the 1. It's just, it cancels, and also the y cancels because y squared over y squared is just 1, just cancels. So it's minus 7, and then it's plus 5. Again, 5 minus 4 is 1. So I don't care if you put x to the 1, doesn't matter. And then y, it's going to be 4 minus 2, which is 2. And that's your answer. Okay? All right, cool. Not bad, not bad. All right, so moving on to number 2. All right, so this one here, my greatest common factor, again, the number part is going to be a 4. And it's going to be x to the 5th and y to the 3rd. So 4x to the 5th, y to the 3rd. And then divide, everything's going to cancel except for the y, so you get 7 minus 3 is 4. So y to the 4th, and then at minus 2, it's going to be x squared, and then y, or the y cancels, and that's it. Okay? All right, moving on here. My greatest common factor for this one is going to be a 3 and a y to the 4th. So 3y to the 4th, and you're going to do 3, 9 divided by 3 is 3, y to the 3rd, and then minus 4, because the y to the 4ths cancel out. Okay, that's your answer. And this one, definitely going to be an even number. So here's the deal. Let me just show you a wrong number. What if I would divide this by 2? Let's say I said 2 is my greatest common factor. If I divide it by 12 by 2, I get 6. 16 divided by 2, I get 8. And 32 divided by 2, I get 16. So you should see that 6, 8, and 16 are all even numbers, which means I can take out more than just 2. They actually can take out a 4. Okay? And think about it, if I divide everything by 4 now, 12 divided by 4 is 3, 16 divided by 4 is 4, and 32 divided by 4 is 8. And so you've gone as far as you can. Okay? And then it's going to be the smallest for the x is going to be x to the 4th. And then I look at the y and notice, oh, that one doesn't have a y. So it's not part of my greatest common factor. And then I go to the z. Oh, that one doesn't have a z. So truly my greatest common factor is 4x to the 4th. And then you divide. So it's going to be 3 x cubed, y to the 6th, because there's nothing to divide that by, minus 4, and the x to the 4th cancel out, y to the 5th, z squared, and then plus 8, and it's going to be x squared, z to the 8th. And there's your answer. Okay, it's not too bad. All right, so now that's greatest common factor, and it'll be specific on the direction. It'll say, find the greatest common factor, okay? And this just says factor the following. Guys, if it's 3 terms, you're going to use the X method, okay? So, and by the way, this is just factor, it's not solve. So we're going to have negative 12 and negative 4. You guys should see that as a negative, which means opposite signs. Guys, when you see opposite, that means you're going to subtract. Got to know that. Opposite signs means subtract. Okay, so what numbers give you 12? Well, 1 and 12 do, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. And that's it. You could keep going, but 4 and 3 and 3 and 4 are the same thing. So I'm subtracting. One of them has to be negative, and something has to subtract to give you a 4. In this case here, negative 4. But let's figure it out. Do you guys agree that 6 minus 2 is 4? But I need negative 4. So it's, again, put it in your calculator. 2 minus 6 is negative 4. So that is my answer right there. So it's going to be x plus 2, x minus 6. And that's your answer. Okay? Okay, this next one. Negative 18, negative 3x. And numbers give you 18 are 1 and 18, 2 and 9, and 3 and 6. Remember, guys, opposite sign. Okay, so you're going to use subtraction. So 18 minus 1, that doesn't give you 3. 9 minus 2, that gives you 7. That's not good. 6 minus 3, 6 minus 3 gives you 3. But remember, I need to be negative 3. So it's 3 minus 6. That's why your answer is x plus 3 and x minus 6. Okay. Keep going here. Another x problem. And by the way, that's what it's going to say on your quiz and test and everything. It's just going to say factor. It's not going to tell you how to factor. So if it's 3 terms, X method, though we'll get to a couple different problems here in a little bit. And if it's 2 terms, look for the difference of 2 squares. Okay, so we're going to put a 21 here and a 10. And guys, remember, same sign. And then you look at this one. If it's the same sign, that means they're both plus plus. That's the way you do it. If that was the same sign, it was negative, it would be negative, negative. But you got to remember, look at that last sign. It's either same sign or opposite sign. And then if it's the same sign, you look at the middle term. Okay, 21 is 1 and 21. And 3 and 7, that's it. So, of course, 3 plus 7 is 10. So that's the answer. X plus 3, X plus 10. Okay. So we got 15 and negative 8. Again, guys, you should see same sign, but it's negative, so it's minus, minus. Okay, so anyway, it's 1 and 15 and 3 and 5. And so again, put in your calculator, they're both negative, and negative 3 minus 5 is negative 8. So the answer is x minus 3, x minus 5. Okay, this one is prime, because 2 terms and it's plus. This one is you take the square root of x squared, which is x, take the square root of 25, which is 5. Put it in your calculator. So you're going to get x plus 5, x minus 5. Very simple. X plus 5, that's what it is. It's like this one. This one's x to the 4th, so it's really x squared here. And square root of 36 is 6. So that's how you do that one. Okay? Same idea. Square root of 9 is 3, so 3x and 3x. And the square root of 121 is 11. So plus 11, and that's y squared, and minus 11, y squared. Okay? Not bad. Okay, so these are a little bit more challenging. Probably one of the more challenging ones out of all these. But guys, you got to look for it. You got to look for greatest common factor first for all these problems. I'm going to pretty much tell you, if you see a problem like this and there's a 2 here, look for the greatest common factor or a 3. Okay, so my greatest common factor, which you guys should know how to do, is 2. So you get 2 parentheses x squared minus x minus 12. Okay, so that 2 is on the outside, it's part of the answer. So I'm just going to highlight that because that is part of the answer. Okay, and then I'm going to make an x method for this part here, negative 12 and negative 1. So negative 12, first of all, it's negative, so it's opposite sign. So we're going to go 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. So something has to subtract to give me 1. Okay, the only thing it does that is 3 and 4. And of course, it's negative x, so it's got to be 3 minus 4. So the answer is x plus 3, x minus 4. And don't forget that 2. That's the answer to this problem. Okay? Okay, so greatest common factor for this one is 3. So that's going to be on the outside, just like that 2 is right over here. That 3 is going to be on the outside. So if I factor that out, I get 3 parentheses x squared minus 3x minus 10. Okay, then you're going to use the x method. Opposite sign. That means subtract. So it's going to be negative 10 and negative 3x. So you're going to say 1 and 10 and 2 and 5. So, 5. So if it's opposite sign, one of them is negative, it's got to be negative 3, because 2 minus 5 is negative 3. So it's x plus 2, x minus 5. And don't forget to put that 3 in front. And that's your answer. All right. So here's a problem where it's a little more challenging to factor. I'm not even going to show you how to do this one because it actually is pretty challenging to do this. And you're going to have one problem you're going to see on the final. So what you need to do, math fans, is you need to work backwards. Okay, which means you basically need to you just FOIL it out. All right. So in this case here, if you guys hopefully you remember FOIL. Okay, FOIL basically is first, outer, inner, last. So FOIL is 2x times x is 2x squared. Outside, so this is first. Outside is 2x times 12 is plus 24. Inside is minus x. And last is minus 12. So if you put that all together, you get 2x squared plus 23x minus 12. Okay, that's not what I want. I want this. So if I do the next one, 2x squared plus 4x minus 6x minus 12. So that gives me 2x squared minus 2x minus 12. Still not what I want. Okay, so this one's going to give me 2x squared plus 8x minus 3x minus 12. Okay, so that's going to give us 2x squared plus 5x minus 12. I'm so close. I need minus 5x. So the last one better be it. 2x squared minus 8x plus 3x minus 12. And that does give us 2x squared minus 5x minus 12. Okay, so actually D is our answer. Okay, it's not bad. Let's keep going here. So the rest of these are now solve. The other ones were factor. These are solve. Notice they're all equal to 0. Okay, so this one's actually easy. It's already set. So it's 2x minus 3 equals 0 and x plus 5 equals 0. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides. So 2x equals 3 and divide by 2. X equals 3 halves. Okay, and this one subtract 5 from both sides, x equals negative 5. So those are my two answers. So these are already factored for you. These are the easiest problems I could possibly give you. You literally set each of these equal to 0. Okay, this next one, again, it's already solved. So x equals 0, x plus 4 equals 0, and x minus 3 equals 0. So we subtract 4 here, x equals negative 4, and add 3 here. So x equals 3. So 3, negative 4, and 0. That's your 3 answers. Okay. The next group of problems are like this one's an X method. So negative 16, negative 6. And then remember it's opposite sign. So it's going to be 1 and 16, or 2 and 8, or 4 and 4. And the only one that gives you 6 is 8 minus 2 is 6. But I need negative 6, so 2 minus 8 is negative 6. So you're going to have x plus 2 and x minus 8. Okay, so x, I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides and add 8 both sides. So x equals negative 2 and x equals 8. Okay, same x method here. 15 and negative 8. Okay, so 15, and this, by the way, it's same sign. That means they're both negative, negative, negative. Okay, so 15 is 1 and 15, or 3 and 5. So they're both negative, so it's this one here. Negative 8 minus 5, or negative 3 minus 5 is negative 8. So it's x minus 3, x minus 5. And those, you got to solve it. So x minus 3 equals 0, and x minus 5 equals 0. Add 3 to both sides, x equals 3. Add 5 to both sides, x equals 5. Okay? A couple more here. That's the difference of two squares. You guys should know that. X and x, square root of 16 is 4. And minus 4. So x plus 4 equals 0. X minus 4 equals 0. So I'm going to subtract 4, x equals negative 4. And I'm going to add 4, x equals positive 4. Okay, this one, again, difference of two squares. So it's going to be, the square root of 16 is 4. So it's 4x and 4x. And the square root of 49 is 7. And it's plus and minus. So 4x plus 7 equals 0, and 4x minus 7 equals 0. So this is a matter of just solving it, guys. Subtract 7, 4x equals 7, divided by 4, x is 7/4. And you can leave it like that. Okay, this one's add 7 to both sides, so 4x equals 7 divided by 4. So x equals positive 7/4. So those are two, oh, I lost the negative. Oh, this is negative here, sorry. This one's negative. Okay, negative 7/4 and positive 4. It's always going to be one value and the opposite of that value. Okay? All right, last two I think are a little challenging as well. So just kind of pay attention to these last two. Basically, it's two terms. They're not difference of two squares because 2 and 5 are not perfect squares. Okay? You got to do greatest common factor. You got to remember that. So I do that. I can't take out a 2. It's just an x. That's all I'm taking out. So I get x, and then left over here, remember, if you want to make it x to 1, that's fine. It's going to give you 2x, and that one's going to give you minus 5 equals 0. Okay? So you should get that, and then you should recognize this from the top few problems. You just factor, or you just set that equal to 0. X equals 0, and 2x minus 5 equals 0. Add 5, 2x equals 5, divide by 2. X is 5/2. So 5/2 and 0. Okay, this next one is an x cubed, but guys, you should recognize every term as an x. So factor out an x. So you get x times x squared minus 3x minus 18. Okay, that is definitely x method. And so 18 is going to be 1 and 18, 2 and 9, and 3 and 6. And by the way, this is negative, so it's opposite sign. So which one gives you negative 3? 3 minus 6 does. So this is 3 and a negative 6. So it's going to be x times x minus 3. Sorry, x plus 3 and then x minus 6 equals 0. Okay? There are 3 answers to this problem, guys. 3 answers. It's this first one, the x, so x equals 0. And there's x plus 3 equals 0. There's x minus 6 equals 0. This one's already solved. I got to subtract 3, x equals negative 3. And I got to add 6, x equals 6. So those are my 3 answers for that one. That one's got 3 answers because it has three things outside. It's got that x, right? Let me just highlight this. It's got this x here. It's got this x plus 3, and then it's got this x minus 6. So there are three answers to that problem. Okay? So that's it, math fans. Hopefully you guys are good to go with this. But this is, I'll do another video on worksheet 2. But you guys should really be getting good with this stuff. And you should know, we spent a lot of time in this. So definitely should know this for quiz, test, final exam, etc. Okay? That's it, math fans. Have an outstanding day. Adios. Goodbye.